Welcome to the Back Sports Entertainment Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and today, really happy to have in a guy who was undrafted, ended up making a name for himself last year with the New Orleans Saints. Help me welcome to the show, Justin Hardee. How you doing, Justin?
What's going on, man? How you doing? Feeling blessed.
All right, so let's just start from the beginning, whether it's a legend show or a new player. I like to see, kind of what made the guys and for the fans to see what made them. You want to talk about growing up and some of your early influences and when you started playing football?
I started playing at about 6 years old. Really was unsure of how the game went at that age. Just went out there and had fun, really. And so from 6 to 24 now, I've just been playing, obviously getting better each year, gaining more knowledge, and having fun, man. I believe that's what it's really all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if you don't have fun doing what you're doing, we've seen a ton of guys like that where, they're great players through high school, maybe their parents pushed them. They get kind of burnt out, so when you got to high school, you played at Cleveland Glenville for Coach Ginn, who's a legendary coach in the Cleveland area, basically all through Ohio. You want to talk a little about the influence that Coach Ginn had on you?
Yeah, he wanted more for us. He looked at us as more of than just a football player, but just, as a real person. He wanted us to make it in life. Going to the NFL is a bonus for anyone. It's never guaranteed. So I just know Coach Ginn, he just, like I said, he just wanted the best for all of us. And like I said, in life, he just wanted us to win in life. He's more of a life coach than a high school coach.
Yeah, and I think from what I've found, those are the coaches that are actually the best coaches, because when you're playing for a guy and he actually really cares about you, I mean, that's what makes a coach special, I would think. Yeah,
it's very special.
All right, so what were some of the highlights of your career playing at Cleveland Glenville?
My highlights was just me, not even. Well, okay, I'll take a different route than anyone else. So it's my 11th grade year, game 2. Versus Dwyer High School, a school in Florida. First play of the game, man. I lined up at tight end, which is unusual. Was basically just hiding me. And the first play of the game, man, I dropped the ball. Had to sit on the bench till later that day. Had another play later in the game. Caught that one, but there was also another one that I had dropped as well. And I'll say those 2 drops, man, those 2 drops made me work even harder. What's so crazy is I usually don't get this question, so this is my first time saying this, but those 2 drops made me feel like I know I had to work even harder than the next guy, because obviously it's not just going to be that easy for me. It's not going to be just given to me.
Yeah, and a lot of times you see guys that just take for granted their God-given gifts. And to me, from all the guys I've interviewed on our Legends show a lot of guys that ended up being Hall of Famers. Almost every one of them has a story about a game when they were younger and they failed and how that kind of pushed them forward from there.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk a little bit about it. You ended up going to Illinois. What was it that drove you to want to go play for the Fighting Illini?
What drove me to want to go play for the Fighting Illini was, I would say, the opportunity one. And then the opportunity just to play on the big stage. Instead of going I wanted to go Big Ten Conference. I wanted to play against a school like Ohio State, show them that they missed out on me. I wanted to just work hard. And I'm glad that I did go to the University of Illinois over this other options that I did have.
Yeah, and at Illinois, I know the Illini didn't have a lot of success. You did. You had a nice career there. The thing that stuck out to me is reading about you was kind of the bond you developed with Bill Kubit, your offensive coordinator. You want to talk a little bit about Coach Kubit?
Well, let's just say, man, that dude, he was hard on me, you know, and sometimes it broke me down, man. But in the future, I would say that it made me stronger. You know, y'all, like, it was odd relationship, man, very odd. But at the end of the day, I made sure that I was good because I always knew I was going to work. So I just tried to put myself in the best position to win.
Yeah, and when we talk about this, when you're playing at Illinois, I'm sure most D1 players have NFL aspirations. Did you have those aspirations while playing?
Yes, I definitely had NFL aspirations. That's what I always worked towards. I feel like majority, I said about at least 98% of the guys who going to college plan to go into the NFL, but you know that doesn't work out. So that was definitely my aspirations, and just was willing to do the extra things I had to do to win.
All right, and I know you were a wide receiver at Illinois. When did the switch to DB come? Was that before you got signed by an NFL team where you figured you needed to do that, or was that something that happened after signing?
Well, going through the process of training and playing, I was actually going to work out for the Indian. I had a workout with the Indianapolis Colts, and I was going to do like I did my wide receiver stuff on my last route. I strained my hamstring, and I was actually going to do some defensive back stuff for them. But you know what I'm saying, they would just say they just wanted to look, so they didn't think none of it. Coach Ginn always told me during my process, man, you need to be playing DB. He always used to hit at me with that, but I wanted to play receiver, man. I wanted to make the big plays and all that type of stuff. And then I actually thought playing DB at this level, I just thought I wasn't going to be able to succeed just because, you know, I started so late. So during Houston, Texas, I played wide receiver throughout that grace period. But as soon as I got to New Orleans, they put me at DB as a start. One of my coaches seen something in me, you know, so he kept me at DB.
Yeah, and I think the thing people don't realize, that's a huge switch to do that late in your career. I mean, you see all kind of guys that play all through college. They got stiff hips, can't really flip their hips and get where they need to be. Was there anybody that you had as a personal trainer or anything that helped you with that, or a coach that helped, or maybe a guy with the Saints or the Texans?
Yeah, right after, after every practice, I used to make sure that I got some extra work in with my position coach. And this offseason, I've been hitting it hard with Coach Speedy. It's a guy down here, New Orleans legend. So I've been working very hard at it, and I was working hard during the season on it as well.
All right, now, when you were in camp with the Texans, they've got some really good DBs down there also, which probably helped out. But what was your experience like in camp with the Texans?
Man, it was rough, man. It's crazy, man. The competition was so crazy, you know what I'm saying, just being undrafted and only going to get limited opportunities. That was very tough, man. And I knew that I had to do extra stuff, man, just because it was the first preseason game on special teams. I was 5th or 6th string on just about anything, and I only got 2 reps in the game, and I was on punt return and kickoff return, and I was pretty much blocking. And so just in that situation, man, it was tough, man. That camp was tough, man. It's just so crazy how I can be, how I am labeled one of the best special team guys in the NFL, and just to see me 5th and 6th string for the Houston Texans. I just let you know I got it from out of nothing, man. I got it out the mud, as we call it.
Yeah, and let's face it, people don't realize how competitive it is to get into the NFL. And I coached arena football for a long time, and I coached a lot of guys that had NFL skill sets that just never got the opportunity. And with you, the thing that is so impressive is you go in as an undrafted free agent to Houston, and you obviously did enough there to get a shot with New Orleans. So basically, your entire football life came down to that 3 or 4 weeks in camp with the Saints, which is what got you to the Texans or a shot with them.
Yeah, well, when I was playing for Houston, our last preseason game, because we only played 3 because of the Hurricane Harvey. Our last preseason game, we actually played against New Orleans. We practiced against New Orleans, and then we had like a joint practice, and then we went out and played against those guys. And I made some pretty decent plays, some pretty good players against them. 3 back-to-back plays. Basically had 2.5 tackles back-to-back on special teams. So on release day, the Texans let me go. The next day, New Orleans called me, and it was a blessing in disguise, which I talked to one of my guys, Whitney Merciless, about. He was just telling me, man, you never know, this may have been the best decision for you. And it was.
Yeah, because really when you look at it, the Texans were stacked at DB with a lot of guys with contracts that had gotten a lot of money. And the Saints, I think, were looking for DBs when you went into last offseason. So it kind of fell perfect for you.
Yeah, definitely, man, because we're very young in the Saints secondary, compared to Houston, Texas, they were older. But like I said, when I was playing for Houston, I wasn't even a DB. That wasn't even my focus. I didn't even know I was going to play DB. I was a wide receiver. So the switch for me to go to New Orleans was perfect.
All right, so you get to New Orleans. What's your take? What's your relationship with Coach Sean Payton?
I love him, man. I love him. First off, he gave me an opportunity that any other coach gave me to do during the season. He's a players coach, man. Like that. And I feel like this has been my first players coach since Coach Ginn. So just to be around this guy, and I'm at the highest level, so just to be around this type of guy, man, on this type of level, man, I love him as a coach. I love him, man.
Yeah, and that entire coaching staff's really good. And you got, I think, Bradford Banta's your special teams coach, isn't he?
Yeah, that's my dog.
Yeah, and he's the kind of guy that got the most out of his ability. I think he was a long snapper in the NFL, wasn't
he? Yeah, yes, he was.
So,
yes, he was.
The highlight of your first season would have had to been, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game where Brian Anger, you block his punt, return it for a touchdown, and a 30-10 win. You were the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. From where you came from, that had to be a surreal moment.
Man, when Coach Sean Payton told us in the meeting, it'll be announced in about 5 minutes. Justin Hardee will be the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, man. I put my head down, man. I just knew some tears was gonna come out. It was surreal, man. It was very surreal. It was a true blessing. But what's so crazy is that wasn't even a set-up block play. I think my special teams coach said, man, we're gonna put you inside today. We want you to rush. Just rush the kicker. Just rush every time. And I rushed, and God just let me go. Why, I'm not sure, because it was like we was basically just setting up a return. So it wasn't that many guys in the box. And as you see, it looked like I was the only person rushing. And the guy just let me go. It was basically a race to the football.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize just the preparation and how hard it is to play special teams at the NFL level.
Yeah, it's definitely not a cakewalk, and I think that's how some people probably view it. You know, because a lot of cats, man, all they really care about is offense and defense. But when you're young, man, and you undrafted, and you also want to spot on that 53-man roster of special teams, not something that you look forward to, then you won't make it in this league. Because a lot of guys don't pan out in this league. It's like they draft certain guys and they put this pedestal on guys and they expect so much. And then a lot of the guys don't even pan out. You know, you only hear about a select few.
Yeah, and I hate to bring this up. We go from the highest moment to maybe the lowest moment in the playoffs against the Minnesota Vikings. That I don't even know the question to ask for this, to tell you the truth. But
man, it was just,
I assume were you on the sideline or on the field for the play?
I was on the sideline, man, looking right at it. And,
so, what did you see? What went through your mind, and when did you know that there was a problem?
You know, when I see that dude running at the sideline and the crowd going crazy, I'm like, wow. Why did this have to happen to us? Like, why us out of everybody? You know, like, for us, like, for that game, it was like nothing was going right. Nothing was going right for basically, like, the whole first half. Everything was going wrong. And then soon as it was time to basically be 0 seconds on the clock, man, it was crazy, man. I was something that I wouldn't want to wish on nobody to go through that type of loss. So that loss is crazy.
The hope would have to be this then, similar to you in high school. You drop a couple passes, and you kind of use that as fuel to become what you are today. When you look at the Saints, you've got Drew Brees at quarterback. You had a draft with Marcus Davenport, defensive end. This has to be a team, though, that if they could rebound from this and use this as fuel for their fire, you guys got a shot to go to the Super Bowl.
Yes, we definitely do, and that's always the goal. You know, I think a lot of people just try to put that type of label on a team so early. You know what I'm saying? You never know what's going to happen. But truthfully, I truly believe that we definitely going to have a shot. All we need to do is just get in the playoffs. I mean, that's more so the goal than just be talking about a Super Bowl just yet. You know what I'm saying? It's just me being young last year, that's all we were talking about. Well, as soon as I first signed with the Houston Texans, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go help them win the Super Bowl, you know. But now, you know what I'm saying, just knowing how an NFL season goes, man, the NFL is tough. Like to win a game, you know what I'm saying, it gets real. But I believe this team definitely can win the Super Bowl. We'll definitely find out more, you know what I'm saying, as time goes.
Yeah, and let's face it, getting to a Super Bowl, winning a Super Bowl, I think is about 90% luck anyways, because you got to have everybody stay healthy. Everything's got to fall just right.
Yeah, you right about that.
So, but I think when you look at it, I think going in, you guys have to be one of the favorites. I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I think you've got an amazing story to tell. And I always like talking to anybody that played for Coach Ginn. I mean, I think a lot of times people forget how important a high school coach is to getting players to this level.
Yeah, it's multiple of us, too.
Yeah. So maybe we can have you on maybe after you win a Super Bowl this year, Justin.
Let's do it. I'd love to.
All right.
You gave me a shot before, so I'd love to.
All right, Justin. Hey, it was an absolute honor to have you on the show today. We wish you the best of luck with next season, and everybody here at The Grueling Truth will be cheering for you.
All right, appreciate you.
All right, appreciate you, Justin. All right, guys, remember you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Justin Hardee, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.